go back, say, 20 years ago, how much melt was happening in Greenland compared to today?
As recently as the 1980s, Greenland ice was basically stable. We've had an abrupt warming in just the last 2 decades. What's happening, and as we expect climate change to continue warming, that we get a number of multiplying effects. Snowline goes up, that increases a dark bare ice area. Rainfall goes up, that also darkens the surface. Melt lakes are forming higher on the inland ice. Wildfire increasing is delivering more dark black carbon to the surface of the ice sheet. There's even microbial blooms on the ice sheet. And that's just at the surface. That's 5 multiplying factors. Then the water drains in and it's warmer than the ice. And warmer ice is softer, it flows faster. That's one more multiplying factor. The water at the bed of the ice sheet is lubricating the flow. That's another factor. The water comes out the front. It drives heat exchange with the ocean. So we're looking at more than 9 factors actually that can work in a positive way or in a multiplying way to produce kind of surprising outcome.
So how serious is this going to be for melting of the ice? Could it even accelerate more than what you're saying?
Right. That's right. At today's temperature, Greenland is already beyond its threshold, and it's losing ice about 300 billion tons per year. Depending on what the temperature is, what we're looking at in these different scenarios for the future means it's going much faster. So the path that we choose here in Paris and going into the future should be very ambitious, because we want to keep temperatures as low as we can.
In Ireland, we have an attitude that, we can tolerate the present +1 degree rise in temperature, and another 1 degree mightn't affect us too much. When you look at the big issues globally, what are the implications for Ireland?
Even if Ireland can tolerate 1-2 degrees of warming, it's part of a global system, and we'll feel those economic shocks coming from outside of Ireland, coming from places like Greenland, the environmental shock of 1 meter plus sea level rise. And again, the economic shocks of migration, market volatility because of drought in Australia. Remember back in 2010, there was Russian and Australian droughts. That sent food price commodity spikes that had global economic impacts. So we're not really, we can't think of ourselves as living on an island anymore. It's a globally interconnected system, environmentally and economically.
In Ireland, we don't want to kind of rock our economy because cutting back on fossil fuels or on meat production could be quite serious for us. What do you say about that?
I think there's a lot of opportunities for prosperity in adopting policy that is toward clean energy, benefits in clean air and water, benefits in climate stability, and reducing these large-scale ripple effects of migration and changing weather patterns. In Ireland, what's happening in Greenland, this melting is producing a cold pool in the North Atlantic. We have record cold sea surface temperatures right now in the North Atlantic at the same time that the world is record warm. That conspicuous pattern is actually driving stronger storms that are pointed right to Ireland. So you'll see stronger storms going forward, and what disruption that has, I think you know better than I do.
There are certain people saying that we're not in a climate crisis and that we can manage this, and it's a much longer issue and much slower. Is that true?
I don't think so. I think it's already a crisis, and I wouldn't bank my kids' future on hoping for a low climate sensitivity. The science that I'm seeing is that climate sensitivity is, if anything, higher than what it's been reported in the past, not less. There may be a few vocal critics that latch on to one publication that says low sensitivity, but the mainstream science isn't like that. And when you consider the risks involved, you just don't want to bank on hoping for the best, because the risk is so high here.
Do you think COP21 is going to achieve a stable climate that will avoid most of this, the worst of what's coming down the track?
Yeah. COP21 is a target, and we should set a very low target for our temperature at the end of the century. And so you hear this 2-degree target, Some have called it a 2-degree guardrail. Anything beyond that is mayhem. Many are calling now for lower than 2 degrees, and that's because we lose the ice sheets at 2+ degrees of warming. So the target should be 1.5. So the agreement that comes out of Paris should be for a very ambitious target, say 1.5 degrees, and then we pass by Paris, we go into the future with an ambition to regulate carbon, to get onto a prosperous clean energy economy, stabilize climate, and so it's like a mile marker on the road. It's like a toll. We check through this toll booth, we make an investment, and then we're able to drive over this bridge into hopefully a prosperous future.
And is time on our side? I mean, is time not running out? Copenhagen was meant to deliver something in 2009.
I would say we're out of time.
We're out of time.
So we have to make some tough decisions now, for the sake of our children, for the sake of our coastlines, for the sake of our nations, for the sake of stability. I think it's a no-brainer. It's not going to be easy, but there'll be a lot of benefits, rewards for that hard work.
So, from your point of view, with the scientific work you're doing, what's the message that you'd like to get out to our program?
What we've learned in Greenland has surprised us in how fast the ice can go, and that's true also in Antarctica. There's some big stuff going on down there. So as a scientist, in judgment, ice is a very sensitive indicator. It tells a story, and it's telling us that we should not underestimate nature's ability or its power to respond, and that us being part of nature, we need to find really a reciprocal relationship with nature instead of just taking. We need to give back to nature and establish that kind of balance.